here we are in the beginning of a new year, and often when we approach a new year, it's with a sense of joy and anticipation of what is to come. And in this new year, I think many have a sense of trepidation and wondering whether anything good will come of this year, considering the example of the year gone by. So my intention today is to talk about how we can overcome our fears and how we can accept that we lack control of the future. That indeed the conditions and times that are upon us control us. And those conditions are the result of our behaviors and our condition that we brought upon this world because of our numbers and the power that we have, often that we don't understand or don't realize, but is there nonetheless, that brings upon the world certain responses and actions that bring change to the world. So that message from James indicates this. He says that change is coming, and that change is coming not because God wants destruction and problems and suffering in humanity. And it's absolutely not true that God is bringing upon us these conditions and changes. It is us that are doing it to us. So we are the ones who are creating our own fate through the choices that we make, the thoughts that we have, the ideas which we think are going to benefit not only us, but the world. And often these ideas, these paradigms of thought are incorrect. They're not really in harmony with what the world really is. And as James has talked about, that the true reality of the world is very different from what our minds perceive. We have the very surface of perception, and that comes with our five senses and our material mind, putting it all together, these experiences in life. But that's just a sliver of reality. That's just a very small part of what truly is happening on many different levels and many different energetic levels that are all interacting and responding to our emanations, because each of us emanate energy, each of us emanates thoughts, each of us are in a way influencing the world and through our choices creating the world. But we do so without humility. We do so often without knowledge or wisdom. We do it out of reaction, and often those reactions are in our minds. Our minds take in information, we respond with solutions, thoughts, etc., responses that are not just of the intellect, but of the emotions and our desires and all of these things wrapped up in us, this complicated ball of wax that is what we are as human beings, interacting together as human beings. And in all of these interactions are many energies and conditions that are being transferred and absorbed and kind of responded to and then expressed out again into the world. And it's made the world a very complicated, and when James says and talks about chaos, I think he's talking about how the energetic condition of the world is chaotic. that the world was meant to be in harmony. And when humanity wasn't in control of the world as much as we are, then I think the natural order of things were much more harmonious. And the flow of events in the world were more nurturing and giving us strength and showing us ways in which we may grow as human beings and develop and progress. But now it's really messy. COVID is just one sign. COVID is just one signal of a world that is starting to unravel in a way because of the power that we have individually and collectively has contributed to the disintegration and renting asunder, I guess would be a word, of the laws of creation. We have imposed our energies and intentions upon the world to such a degree that the world is now suffering. The world as a whole, Mother Earth, is now suffering, as James has said. So what lessons have we learned from 2020? Personally, I learned to let go of control, for it seems to be not possible. The energies of the world are controlling us. We're not controlling it. And of course, the collective energies of all of us are so immense that one individual input into that is less than a drop in the ocean. So I've let go of control in a way that my sense of planning and my sense of priorities about my personal life have been put aside. And now I'm seeking to understand what is divine will. I've always tried to do that, but the conditions that came about in 2020 have edged me closer and closer to that realization that I'm not a individual with free will in as much as I can choose whatever I want without consequences. That I am a soul in relationship to the great soul of God, and that if I wish and express a desire for connection with the divine, then I can bring through me as a channel of God energies and light that will hopefully help counteract the dark and disproportionately powerful energies of the human condition. That's my priority now. And that requires humility. It requires letting go of ambitions that I might have held for all of my life, to look at the world from a different angle, a different approach, to see that the way back to harmony for this world does not involve humanity trying to solve its own problems with the mind. That now we have to go to a different level, a different place within us, in order to understand that the true power for change and for healing and for harmony comes with the soul in alignment with God. And unfortunately, thanks to all the religious ideas that have been part of human existence and culture, when I speak these words, a lot of people don't resonate with them because they see God as some negative force or some controlling force in the world. And they see the soul as some nebulous thing that, is kind of a word used to describe humanity, but not really understood. And with such words, then, what I speak about is often just put into the category of religious talk. But I'm saying that to understand these things is to empower all of us to bring change in the world. That the desires and credibility that we give to the mind is not in harmony and not in balance with our own true selves. That there's way too much emphasis put on our intellect, on our ability to discern and to understand various material concepts in the world through our intellectual, scientific, mathematical, all of these aspects of the human potentials that are being realized. But a great imbalance has happened because most of us haven't really understood nor nurtured that other half of us that is the soul, that deeper part of ourselves has been terribly neglected. I'm not suggesting each one of you are in that category, but I'm talking about humanity in general. That there's been a great disconnect between who we think we are and who we truly are. And that's happened because we have decided for millennia to go it on our own, to be our own boss, so to speak, and to walk in the world expressing our free will, which is a gift that we have and are able to do in many, many different ways, but to not actually understand or respect the power of free will, how each one of us through our actions are creating the reality of this world. And that reality is contrary to the reality of God and what God has created in the world. So that creation of God is still there. It still exists, but we're not really connecting to it. Instead, we're being a contrary force that is causing disruptions in this harmonious creation. And we got to get to the point where we can see for ourselves what we're doing in that deeper way, in that way where we really get it. That who we are and what we're doing on a daily basis is contributing to the chaos of the world. If we're not in harmony with the laws of creation, the laws of love. It's love that unites, but it is often the human condition and all the desires and impetus of human thought and action, which creates this contrary condition, the human condition, that goes against the laws of God. But indeed, with our sense of self and sense of self-empowerment, then we feel powerful. We feel like we're in control. But in truth, we're not. And the COVID has shown us how vulnerable we truly are and how just a simple manifestation in the world that becomes universal in the world can change everything and can disrupt everything of the human creation and what we desire and want and have created in the world to give us a sense of gratification or empowerment or comfort or whatever that might be. Now, there are lots of things that we possess within us that are beautiful. and can indeed work towards harmony in the world. But our greatest Achilles heel is our focus on materialism and wanting things and making the world a thing rather than understanding that the world is a being, that the earth is a being, and that everything in the earth has, as James says, consciousness. If we can come to that point where we're aware of all the ebbs and flows of creation, of the energies, of the manifestations that is God's world and creation, then we can come closer to that point of making choices and actions that will bring more harmony in the world. But first, we have to know within ourselves a soul awakened, a soul filled with wisdom, a soul filled with love, rather than a mind that has been indoctrinated and has very rigid ideas of reality. And I think some of you here who are psychic have realized that our sense of material reality is only one small layer of many other manifestations and experiences that we can have in the world. And we need to go much further into those realities in order to understand what the world really is. So what I've come to realize is that I need to go deeper into myself. I need to understand my soul better. I need to acknowledge and bring to the fore those things within me that give me greater insight into the world and more love for the world and for God and for myself and for my brothers and sisters in the world. With this shift of consciousness, then I'm more equipped to deal with the changes that are coming. Many people have had a very rough time with the changes that happened in 2020. But with the efforts that I made personally, I found it that this pause in my life, in my material life, brought about many good insights, powerful insights, and a lot of joy. I utilized the situation to bring myself into greater alignment with my own spiritual self. And I benefited greatly from that. And I think the world will continue to enforce opportunities for all of us to go within, to look within rather than without, for the gratification and joy within us. Because the material world is not going to be working for us anytime soon. The material world will continue to respond to the forces of nature that are bringing about a correction for all of us in this world. And so we need to understand how we can cope with that and how we can work with that. And that understanding isn't going to come through reading a bunch of books and understanding some science and philosophy, but it comes with understanding ourselves and who we are in the world and the power that we carry in the world as an individual that can be of light or it can be of darkness. So we can bring harmony or we can bring disharmony. It's our choice. But in order to understand that, in order to understand all the ways in which that happens in the world, we got to truly understand ourselves. And in my experience, and certainly in the experience of 2020, is that in order for me to understand myself, I need to go to my soul. And in going to my soul, I also go to God to bring to me the information that I need, the guidance that I require in order to understand what is happening in my life, what is happening within me. God gave me a vision of the COVID in 2018. I saw it very clearly. I didn't know what it was. Well, they said it was a disease. I didn't know how to respond to that, et cetera. But, having that information certainly helped me to understand that changes are coming. And I'm sure God will give me other information as well. And it's because I'm opening myself to that flow of information, that flow of guidance that comes from God, that comes from the source. And I would encourage all of you to continue in prayer, in going within, using meditation, using all of those things within you that will bring you greater wisdom, more clarity, more strength, more capacity to love and to accept, to let go of this innate desire for power, which we all have, and be in alignment with God and allow God to work through us, within us, allow His love to flow into our souls. And in this way, we prepare ourselves for what is coming. Because what came in 2020 is a prelude to what will continue to come. It won't come as a great flow and, kind of a cataclysmic thing, but it will come in waves. And this is one of them that we've experienced. And we will, no doubt, experience more in the future. So I urge you all to pray and be in alignment with God. Thank you.